clearly they've lost control of the streets. Now, is it time to send in the army at some point? Probably yes. But if the army will not be sent in, then the public will have to go in, and the public will have to sort this out themselves. And it'll be very, very brutal.
Douglas Murray, the brilliant and fearless commentator and author, has just humiliated the Guardian newspaper, and boy, oh boy, is this enjoyable. So effectively, this scumbag news organisation, which is actually just a propaganda outlet for the worst parts of society, including Hamas supporters, has had to pay substantial damages to settle a libel claim after a column in The Observer last August by Keenan Malik claimed that during an interview, Douglas Murray had spoken in favour of the UK's so-called riots following the Southport Massacre. But here's the problem. The interview that The Observer was talking about had actually been carried out the year before, in late 2023. It saw Douglas Murray sit down with the former Australian Deputy Prime Minister John Anderson, and he was actually specifically discussing pro-Hamas protesters who had turned up at a Remembrance Sunday event. So I'll play you what Douglas Murray had to say. It's certainly really good. I totally agree with it. But The Guardian were despicably dishonest in terms of trying to misrepresent the situation.
But clearly they've lost control of the streets. Now, is it time to send in the army at some point? Probably yes. But if the army will not be sent in, then the public will have to go in, and the public will have to sort this out themselves. And it'll be very, very brutal. I don't want them to live here. I don't want them here. They came under false pretenses. Many of them came illegally and continue to come illegally, and we don't want them here. And I'm perfectly willing to say that because it needs to be said.
Now, after the apology, Douglas Murray posted on X, legal update. Today, I won a major libel claim against Guardian Media and The Observer for its lazy journalism. Last year, the paper made very serious and false accusations against me based on unchecked claims on social media. This was not true. Nevertheless, such baseless accusations have to be stopped before other careless journalists take fake news from the internet and repeat such damaging allegations. Today in court in London, a statement was read out by Guardian Media recording the absolute falsity of the allegations and recording payment to me of substantial damages and my legal costs. And Father Calvin Robinson, without wanting to boast about this, Douglas Murray now joins a number of good people who have called out The Guardian recently. This terrible news organisation, this completely morally corrupted news organisation that backs wrong-uns like Owen Jones, also had to apologise and pay out damages to me after they ran false allegations. So there's a habit here, isn't there, Father Calvin? If they don't like someone's politics, it doesn't matter what's said, if it's true or not. They're just going to run it anyway at The Guardian. And I know Noel Clarke, very good friend of mine, is going after them at the moment too. And I fully hope that he wins.
Good, because they are not a newspaper. Their website is not about journalism, it's activism. They are far left, hard left, and they hate anyone from the centre right. I'm glad you mentioned your case, because it's almost exactly a year to the day that you gave an apology, because they smeared you and used another far left outlet as a source, which wasn't a source at all. The latest headline about me in The Guardian is entirely wrong, from January the 30th. Michigan priest defrocked after making apparent Nazi salute at anti-abortion summit. I'm not a Michigan priest. I'm an Englishman. I wasn't defrocked. I didn't make a Nazi salute, and it wasn't an anti-abortion summit. So it's like they could have got it more wrong. But they don't care about facts. They don't care about sharing information. They want to attack, and that's what they do. They smear and they attack. It's nasty. It's toxic, and it should have been shut down a long time ago.
Well, it should have been, because of course no one actually pays for The Guardian, unless they are an absolute hard left nutter. And Calvin, can we have some fun now? because the brilliant Basil the Great on X has put together the most loony Guardian headlines in recent memory. And Father Calvin, the most incredible thing is that all of what I'm about to show you are real headlines. This is not a spoof. This is not made up. These are real Guardian headlines. And it's so fun. I just have to go through all of them. The country is screwed. The electric is evil. But here are 9 reasons to be cheerful. Why I'm no longer talking to white people about race. Why I refuse to make friends with my vagina. Should it really be a crime to look at child pornography?
Yes, it should.
To be black in the British countryside means being an outsider. I stopped going to the gym because of Trump. Now I can't open jars.
Trump's making people fat. Oh, no.
But first, the reason you're watching this show is that it's becoming increasingly difficult to trust mainstream media or the so-called fact checkers who claim to determine which facts are true. And there's a good reason for that, given the debate over free speech, the controversy surrounding Brexit, and how Trump and other politicians challenging the status quo are portrayed. So I've got the solution. It's called Ground News, and it's the best way to stay informed and cut through media bias and narratives so you can get the facts for yourself. Go to ground.news/outspoken to check it out right now, and I've got an amazing discount too. But let me show you this incredible website and app and action first. So let's look at the recent speech that Vice President of the US, JD Vance, gave to the Munich Security Conference. He tore into European countries, including our government here in the UK, over the complete rolling back of free speech, which is a real concern for me. And you can see that 361 sources covered this story. But what Ground News does, and it's amazing, is immediately show how the story is being covered, broken down by whether the organizations lean to the left or the right. This is called the bias distribution service. Now you can scroll down and see every article about the topic broken down by the political position and ownership of the publication. So, for example, Newsmax, GB News gave fair and accurate coverage, focused very much on how Vance was, I guess, being brave enough to point out some uncomfortable truths. But the lefty publications, of course, they went with their normal narrative. HuffPost claimed the speech left all of Europe aghast. It really didn't. The Independent decided to lead on a nonsense claim about a joke over Elon Musk. But what's more is that Ground News gets to know you personally. It provides you with the news stories you're interested in, while also analyzing your own biases. So my favorite feature is this thing called the blind spot feed. It surfaces upwards of 20 stories every day that you might not be hearing about because of the corruption of the mainstream media. Now, I know you love the news, but you don't trust the legacy media. That's why you're watching Outspoken. What Ground News does is give you the tools to understand the truth. I have to be honest, it's now the only way I read the news because it allows me to see through manipulative mainstream media narratives. Go to ground.news/outspoken to check it out. Subscribe through my link for 40% off the Vantage plan, which is what I use for unlimited access. Ground News is subscriber funded, and supporting my sponsors also supports my work. So for less than a Netflix subscription, you can get all the world's news in one place and think for yourself. It's been a game changer for a news junkie like me. That's ground.news/outspoken. But now, back to the show. And then their hypocrisy because in one column in June 2014, Jessica Valenti said, "The end of hisses, whistles and stares. We need to walk the street without fear." Then in July 2015, "Men rarely catcall me anymore. I hate that our culture makes me miss it." In their architecture section, Calvin, "Upward thrusting buildings ejaculating into the sky. Do cities have to be so sexist?" One of their quotes of the day from Dennis McShane, the former Labour MP for Rotherham, explaining why he failed to investigate the city's child sex abuse scandal. "As a true Guardian reader and liberal lefty, I suppose I didn't want to rock the multicultural community boat."
That says it all, doesn't it, really? That's the problem right there.
From Owen Jones, "How can a man be too straight? to recycle. From Tracy Van Slyke, Thomas the Tank Engine had to shut the hell up to save children everywhere. From Philip Hoare, Britain has spoken and chosen a vicious, murdering bully as its national bird.
I love the Robin Redbreast.
From Awa Madawi, men are less likely to wear masks. Another sign that toxic masculinity kills. I mean, I have to say one of the best decisions of my life was never wearing one of those face nappies. The same woman, why Ivanka Trump's new haircut should make us very afraid. Then Jessica Valenti was back saying not all comments are created equal. The case for ending online comments. Let's just ban them at all. Father C, because they don't agree.
If they're not going to see what I'm saying, I don't want them to speak at all.
Oh, our friend Robin DiAngelo, you know, who led the race division movement. White people assume niceness is the answer to racial inequality. It's not. Dexter Thomas, don't unfriend your racist Facebook friends. Teach them. Stephen W. Thrasher, the Whiteness Project will make you wince because white people can be rather awful. Rose George, what if men had periods? It's a question still worth posing. Paul Coombs, I created the ISIS dildo flag at London Pride to start a dialogue, not get a laugh. Quinoa, good, evil, or just really complicated? From Zoe Williams, are you too white, rich, able-bodied and straight to be a feminist? Matt Seaton, yes. The trouble with cupcakes. Nanjala Nayabola, why don't Africans make wildlife films? Ingrid Newkirk, fish, they're just sea kittens. And Nadia Tolokonikova, Van Gogh is turning in his grave at the harsh just stop oil sentence. I know because I spoke to him.
Oh yes, that's that Satanist. Oh, awful.
They're mad. I mean, like literally, this is madness, right?
I will say though, I am too straight to be a feminist. I am too straight to recycle. So they have a point there. I mean, it's ludicrous headlines,
and too masculine to wear a face nappy too.
But the fact that they contradict each other with their hypocrisy as well is absurd. Even the same writers years later, it's insane. Of course, no one believes any of this stuff. It's just lefty hogwash that they peddle, and it disrupts our nation. Let's stop buying. I don't think anyone buys a Guardian, do they? I think it's all subscriptions to lefty organizations. But let's stop supporting them for good. Let's let them die away.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and they are, which is the good thing. Father Calvin, there's been some other loony lefties going wild this week. Let's start with one of our least favourite people in the world. I'm pretty sure you agree with me on this one. That total weirdo and loser, Femi Olawale, who hopefully is going to be sued by Rupert Lowe for this.
And in my opinion, actively choosing to put convicted woman beaters into Parliament makes you just as bad as any woman beater. That's the Reform Party. They are all literally wrong-uns. Like, this is reason 374 why I consider anybody who supports the Reform Party to be scum. Because they only have 5 people, every single one of whom has proven to be a horrendous person in and of themselves, and that's on top of the fact that their main policy, because they were created as the Brexit Party, they've admitted is making people poorer. So they are a party that is actively, morally and economically driving this country into the fucking gutter. This story is obviously going to blow up and last a few days because Rupert Lowe and Nigel Farage are clearly at war now, but I'm Femi. Make sure you follow F Politics so politics doesn't F you.
No, never. I'll never follow him.
Oh, wow. I didn't know he was still a thing. That's sad to see.
Still hasn't bought a new t-shirt.
And it smells as well. But no, I mean, he's not a good journalist, but that wasn't good journalism. What was that? There was another attack. This is what the left do. It's just constant attacks at people. Reform have been trying to do some good, and it is all falling apart, unfortunately. But to say they're all woman beaters, and it's just absurd. And I hope Rupert Lowe does sue him.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I did ask him about it earlier in the week, and he said it's with his lawyers, and if they have a realistic chance of winning, he will. And then, Father Calvin, let's wrap with that equally awful Sadiq Khan, who thinks it makes sense to get all of London protesting against the serving President of the United States of America.
Well, I think we're living in unprecedented times. In my adult life, I've not seen what I've seen in the last few years. Russia invading Georgia, annexing Crimea 3 years ago, again illegally invading Ukraine. What does Russia want? Russia wants the USA to be disentangled from Europe, to leave NATO. Russia's pleased we've left the European Union. And so I welcome what Keir Starmer's doing as our Prime Minister, being really close to Europe and the EU and being really close to USA as well. And I accept when the government says it's in the national interest for President Trump to have a state visit. Me personally, look, my views on President Trump in his second term haven't changed. And I'm sure you'll see when President Trump comes to the UK, Londoners and Brits exercising our right of freedom of speech and freedom of protest and letting our views be known.
You didn't want him to come last time round.
Well, I think my views on President Trump are known by everybody. They've not changed in his second term. And unlike the views of Vice President J.D. Vance, we do in fact have free speech in this country, which includes the right to protest. And I expect you'll see Londoners and those across the country letting their views be known loud and clear if and when President Trump comes.
We'll tell that to Peter Lynch, Father Calvin Robinson, that we have the right to protest.
Oh, there's no free speech.
But actually, we can't tell
United
Peter
Kingdom.
Lynch, can we? Because he's dead, died in prison.
At the hands of the government, essentially. There is no free speech, but where he's consistent, at least, the Mayor of London, is that at least he's saying, look, I still don't like him, which is opposite to the hypocrisy of David Lammy and Sir Keir Starmer, who were kissing his feet the last time that they saw the president. The president's the only one that wants peace in Eastern Europe.
Yep.
And everyone else seems to want actual war, and they hate him for it.
It's bizarre.
I can't understand what the motivations are.
Truly sick. Truly sick. Father Calvin Robinson, well, what a week. What a week it has been, but so great to have you here, and we will speak again next week. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.